Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first and best internet pipe club, or as I like to think of it, another reason for me to shave. I had a bit of a slow start there. I was having trouble with I forgot to mute again, and I don't know if you heard the feedback loop starting, but we're good. How's the audio tonight, guys? Thank you. All right, let's see. Who do we got here tonight? So we got CJP Pipe Rescue. Good to see you, Jim. Bona Piper, how you doing there, Christian? Cliff Higgins. Hope your pool is clean tonight. Everett Young. Good to see you, buddy. Ron H. Portsmouth Piper. Monty 53 Piper. Great to see you, buddy. Paul the Piper. How you doing tonight, Paul? Leaf and Burl. Thank you. Glad the audio is working out. Ford Smoking Pipes. How you doing, my friend? And .777, also known as Tim. How you doing, Tim? JMZ 56. I always want to put a 2 in there, JMZ 56. Good to see you, buddy. Tony 513, Boris the Piper, KC Hooligan. Good to see you guys tonight. Arkansas Mike. How you doing, Mike? Full Dottle. Hello, Dallas. Paragon Piper. Green and Giant Piper. How you doing, buddy? Todd A. Good to see you. Joffrey Feinberg. Armchair Piper. Hello there, Ed. How you doing, my friend? West Virginia Grizzly. Cali Piper 62. How you doing there, buddy? Pipes and Bees. Hello, my friend. Jordan the Prairie Pipe Shop. Hello, Jordan. Jordan can't stay long. Well, we're glad to see you, buddy. Thanks for stopping in. Meerschaum Mountaineer 304. Sailor, hello. Good to see you. Smoking Kentucky Piper. Ochoita, how you doing, buddy? Oh, it's great to see so many folks turning out, especially seeing how you're just going to get to listen to me tonight. I'll try to be entertaining enough for 2. So yes, please let us all know what you guys are smoking and drinking tonight. Dig Tiggs, I think I missed you first time around. Good to see you. And yes, happy Father's Day weekend to all you fathers out there. Jack Kurtz, how you doing, Jack? Good to have you here. Big Dave, always good to see Big Dave come in. Paul the Piper's having brandy and rustica. I'm going to be getting into some rustica in a little bit. Right now I've got Haunted Bookshop in this Phil Rivera, I don't know, apple? Billiardy type thing. Let's see, we got Jim smoking the Ring of Fire with Eileen's Dream. Casey Hooligan's got Blood Red Moon and a Nording Compass. Clarence Wood is smoking 3-Star Blue. Sutliff Galleria Rum and Maple. That sounds good. A Yingling Flight and trying to decide on the next pipe. That's not a bad place to be in. Haunted Bookshop and a Country Gentleman. Sorry guys, it's going by too quick. We got 4 Arkansans up there. That's a lot. Boris is having some Sam Gowith's English Summer and drinking a Coke. Good deal, Sam. Carter Hall and Sweet Tea. Sounds good, West Virginia. Grizzly. Warlick Golden Slices and a 616. Can't beat that, Monty. Smirnoff Ice Green Apple. That sounds interesting. Jackknife Plug. Good stuff, Pipes and Bees. I'm having another ginger ale and bourbon tonight. I've actually run out of beer. I'm going shopping tomorrow, so pick up another craft 6-pack. But if you guys haven't tried this Werner's, I used to drink it back when I lived in Pittsburgh and kind of fell in love with it. Then didn't see it for a while, and it's now seems to be readily available in most places. This is just really nice stuff. It's a very gingery ginger ale. Ford's got Rustica and a Grey Bow billiard. Ochoita's got some homemade lemonade. This is a great time of year for that. I don't know how your weather is, guys, but we're getting thunderstorms tonight. It's been a beautiful week. You know, just nice, mild temperatures, beautiful blue skies. And the weather's been threatening thunderstorms for 3 days now. And they finally came to a head today about 1 o'clock. Not anything terrible, just lots of thunder and occasional rain. Unfortunately, that's predicted to continue through the whole weekend. Let's see, Old Joe Krantz Red and a 7 Ellie autograph. That sounds good, Sailor. 7 Ellie autograph from 75. Very nice. The bourbon does help. I don't know what you were referring to there, smoking Kentucky Piper, but in general, the bourbon does help. Cliff, it's hot in Arkansas? Is that a surprise? Fragrant Offering Piper, hello there. He's having McBaron, H.H. Virginia, and a Bing's favorite. Sounds good. Everett Young smoking some Haunted Bookshop. It's a good question, Jordan. What are the differences in the colors of the Old Joe Krantz? I've never tried the colors. I just stuck with the original. Anyone out there want to take that one on? Yeah, Christian, I love sitting in the rain like that. I have to. We don't have a covered porch, and it's something I've been wanting to do forever. Because I just love sitting out on nights like that. Teleprompter, wow, you're going all in there, Dallas. 673 with Haunted Bookshop. Sounds good, Leafin' Bro. Whiskey fixes all. It's hot in Puerto Rico as well, huh? Again, not terribly surprising, but yeah, it's that time of year. Yeah, Christian, I really do have to do that. It pretty much is a must. 80 is very hot for Finland, isn't it, Boris? Wow. Down nuts. Hey, Jimmy Tabacchi, how you doing, buddy? An eBay special with good old Haunted Bookshop. Fantastic, Jimmy. Hope you're doing well down there. Pipe Tree, how you doing, Tree? Always good to see you, my friend. I love Pipe Tree's videos. He's got some of the most interesting pipe collection videos. Isn't that cool, Ed, when you can smoke a pipe that's older than you? I have a couple that are probably 80 some years old, and I just love thinking about that while I'm smoking them. Scotty Dashboard, good to see you, buddy. Yardism. Oh, here we got the answer to the Old Joe Krantz question. So Old Joe Krantz regular has Burley, Virginia Perique. Blue loses the Perique. White adds Latakia and Cavendish. And red drops the Latakia. Probably from the white. I'll just stick with the original. I don't want it without Perique. I don't want it with Latakia. I guess so. The red would just have Cavendish added. You don't have to explain, Chad. It's I'll just stick with the with the original. Salty Dog is good stuff there, Christian. I'm not surprised. Really, Jim, the oldest one is from 72. I would think that you would have some older, given the work you do on them. The Garage Piper and Luke Reisner, Cincinnati Piper. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. $1923 Yellow Ball. That is cool. Do you smoke it, Chad? Gotcha, Jim. Got to keep moving along, huh? Luke, T-minus 50 days till you return to the States. That is fantastic. That's cool, Chad. I'm glad to hear that you're putting it to use. $1872. Kelly Piper 62. Is that the number 1872? I'm not getting the reference. Is that the number of tins of Rustica you've bought? Bourbon. Was it a bourbon there, Steve? Oh, Christian. I don't know if you guys enjoy Bona Piper's sense of humor as much as I do, but I can't tell you how many times I've been, talking to a guest, and I just glance down and I see something that he's written, and it's so hard not to laugh. He has a real skill for being appropriately inappropriate. The bourbon in 1792, the year Kentucky became a state. Oh, that's cool. Oh, yeah, Ford, those mosquitoes can carry you away if you're not careful. Yeah, Donald T. Donald T says he's got a mastercraft that's older than him or close to his age. It's hard to date those pipes, unfortunately. There's just not a lot of good history on them. But, you can put pretty broad brackets around them. Mike Clark's smoking some Billy Bud. Good deal, Mike. Christian saying cedarwood oil keeps mosquitoes at bay. That's interesting. What do we use? We use, so it's citronella. We actually bought citronella plants one year, and I swear they attracted mosquitoes. but my wife has citronella candles that kind of work. And then there's this stuff. It's a spray, and it's not. I can't remember what it's called. It's not a. It's not actually a mosquito repellent. It's sold for like, I don't know, like moisturizing your hands or something. But it actually works really well to repel the mosquitoes. I know I'm not being very helpful. I'll find out what it's called and tell you next time, or put it down in the comments. Yeah, citronella candles, pepper spray. Dogs actually hate citronella, so that's another benefit. The dogs stay away from me when I burn the citronella candles. Meerschaum from 1880. That's really cool. Skin so soft. Thank you, Road King Piper. That's exactly what it is. It's skin so soft there. Chuck got it too. How you doing tonight, Chuck? And I don't trust Paul at all, so don't take his advice. we need to be careful not to give out health advice here on the show. Cheeseburger 79. Yeah, it is Avon. It's Skin So Soft cheeseburger. Some of the other guys have mentioned it. Glad to hear it, Chuck. Glad to hear you're doing well, my friend. Really, Paul? That's I'm going to take your word on it. I'm not going to do the experiment. Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere where they don't have skeeters. They're just a ubiquitous pest. Chad, if we ever, I don't think we've ever had to moderate a moderator, but it could happen here. I'm just teasing, Paul. So I am not going to be following you for a second here because I want to pull up the calendar so that I can confirm something before I say it. Yes, okay. I'm back now. I'm seeing Armchair Piper in the chat, and I just want to point out that he's going to be our guest next week. So very much looking forward to that, Ed. Should be a lot of fun. So I'll be in touch later this week, and we'll get things set up for that. Epsom salts with water? Who knows? You know, it's at this point, there might even be a psychosomatic component to it. Big Dave, I don't know if pipe smoke repels mosquitoes, but it should, so I'm just going to go with it and say yes. Yes, armchair time with Armchair, absolutely. I had an interesting experience with a wasp once. I was smoking a cigar, and the wasp was buzzing around, and you know how they sometimes just seem to want to buzz around your head? And I blew cigar smoke directly on this thing, and it just kept buzzing around. It didn't seem to care at all. And Pipes and Bees will probably tell me I did it wrong. Well, I don't know if you do wasps, my friend, but so you know, after a couple of times of blowing the cigar smoke, I was getting a little annoyed, and I had one of those butane cigar lighters, and it was flying by really fast, and I didn't light the lighter. I just like triggered the butane, and that thing took off like a shot. So apparently they don't like the smell of butane. Of course, it's not a not a really safe alternative to surround yourself with a cloud of butane, especially when you're smoking a cigar. Oh, sorry, Luke. Didn't mean to use too big of a word there. Yeah, magazine or a swatter works well. Wasps do deserve flamethrowers, you're right. Hairspray and a Zippo, that would do it. That would definitely do it. Where is my Zippo? So I remember I was going to tell a childhood story tonight, and I can tell you a bit of one related to mosquitoes. And I'm betting a lot of you guys have similar experiences. So this would have been in the early to mid 1970s, maybe very late 60s, like maybe 69, 70, up to maybe 73. There used to be these trucks that drove around spraying for mosquitoes, and they would just let out this cloud of chemical that was, I believe it was actually what's the word? Like that, I won't use the word anyway. Luke will yell at me. It kills the mosquito larvae. It doesn't kill the mosquito itself. But it would just like this thing would go down the street, and the whole street would be filled with like these billowing clouds of white smoke, and it had this really distinctive aroma that if I smelled it today, I would, immediately be transported back to that time because it's such a clear scent memory for me. It was probably DDT. I think you're right about that, guys, that are saying it. It wasn't Agent Orange. I'm sure it wasn't Agent Orange. But I remember a big thing at the time was that we'd all get on our bikes and ride behind this truck. And, we would like swerve in and out of the cloud and, have fun. But we were riding along, breathing the stuff in for, probably a good half hour, 45 minutes at a time. Armchair Piper did the same. I don't seem to be any worse off for it. Some of you might argue that point, but yeah, it's funny. I can remember that very clearly, and the idea that they would even spray now is crazy, let alone letting kids ride their bikes in it. And I seem to recall the truck driver would actually beep his horn when he was coming so we knew and could get in line. Yeah, Jimmy, actually, I think a lot of this was at the Jersey Shore. We were in West Wildwood, New Jersey at the time. You did the same, Christian. That's pretty cool. It does explain a lot, doesn't it, Jim? Voodoo 07, yep. Hi, karate. It was like the ice cream man. I mean, as strange as that sounds, it was actually a little bit more exciting than the ice cream man because the ice cream man came every night. This guy only came like every 2 or 3 weeks, and it was a big deal. Of course, we didn't have a lot to do, so. Had him in North Alabama too, Chad. Yeah. So I'm glad to know so many of you guys shared that experience. Mosquito Man is coming. Yeah. Well, yeah, we didn't have to. We didn't have to tell our moms. We were already out, and we had our bikes. That's why all the children are above average in Lake Wobegon. Apparently a lot of the, is it Rachel Carson that wrote Silent Spring? I think that's right. A lot of the evidence that she used turned out to not be 100% accurate. Now, there's no question that DDT was not a good thing to be spraying, but the whole softening of the eagle eggshells was probably not as big an effect as it was made out to be. Theme song, we're back on theme songs. Has anybody worked on their contribution to the theme song? The mosquito. Yeah, it's a good point, Yardism. And boy, I hate to get on a soapbox, but malaria, you want to talk about dangerous diseases that are killing people. And malaria kills 1 million people a year, every year, and has been doing so for a very long time. Malaria kills 3,000 children a day. And we're all upset about this COVID-19 stuff. So, it is a shame that the reason we have malaria today is a book that may not have been 100% honest, but hey, Eric. Oh, you actually got to drink it. Wow. They didn't wait for the truck to come around. Malathion might have been, I don't know, Steve. I didn't ask them what the chemical composition was. I just rode in the smoke. Twinkle, twinkle, little... I thought we said it on Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. Yeah, malaria is nothing to mess around with, Eric. It's really remarkably bad to get malaria. I mean, that should go without saying. But I think because we don't, one of the reasons why those numbers shock us and we don't really do anything about it is that we're not getting malaria. It's not us, it's people over there. And I think that's unfortunate because it's an awful lot of people that are dying from it. Ford's got pipe smoke that's drawing the mosquitoes in. Yeah. Yeah, Voodoo, that's interesting. The gin and tonic was a way to get the British troops to take their quinine. Good to see you, Eric, and thank you. All's going really well here, and hope you're doing well too. Yeah, Luke, I'm sure you did see it in Africa. It's really devastating, Africa and India. DDT is less dangerous than malaria. So we got a theme suggestion of Smoking My Pipe by Rupert Davies. Yeah, Sailor, I understand that. You know what, Garage Piper, this is, you by the end of this evening, you guys are going to have a very low opinion of me. I used to play with mercury when I was a kid. I had a little bottle of it, and we used to play with it all the time. I seem to be okay. Now, if I were to boil the mercury, I'd probably be in a lot of trouble right now because it's mercury vapor that was really a big problem. DDT was a very popular insecticide that was used for a long time in the 60s, I believe, and then was banned because there was evidence that it was causing a softening of bird eggs, in particular eagle eggs. And it was very effective against mosquitoes. Yeah, it would be fun to roll around. Oh, Cliff, do you use it at work? Do you, or I guess you don't anymore, but did you at some point use it in your job? Oh, Jimmy, that's remarkable. That's a good question, Chuck. Where did we get this mercury? We all seem to have had it. Exactly, Nick. It is the vapor, and some of the salts are really quite dangerous. The metallic mercury is not so bad, but of course, the danger is there if you heat it. So, yeah, Paragon Piper. That's what we're starting to sound like. I never played with raw asbestos. Yeah, Eric, it was used in the felting process that hatters used. Interesting stuff. Ah, so Christian, you didn't join us in our mercury escapades, huh? Hey, Desert Pine Piper, that's actually not true. It's not in vaccines. There is you guys probably don't care about this. There's a preservative that's put in vaccines called tamiserol, and tamiserol it has a mercury component to it, but it's in extremely low concentrations in the actual vaccine, and there's no elemental mercury present in the vaccine. Aren't you glad you asked? You didn't ask. Aren't you glad I told you anyway? So I'm going to switch over to my Bari pipe, and I have some rustica here that I've been drying. So I'll rub that out and see how it goes. Good one, Voodoo07. Matt is a custom-built pipe collector. That is funny. Yeah, Cliff, I wonder if that's where we all got the mercury is from broken thermometers, because I remember adding, like if a thermometer broke, I would go and get my little jar of mercury to add to it, but I have no idea where it originated. Laying pennies on railroad tracks. Yeah, Tony, I did do that. And get all flattened and slightly bent. Hey, Full Dottle. Haven't seen Steve in a while. It's a good question. Anyone heard from Kilted Steve Piper? I don't think he was here last week. He might have been the week before. A pickle jar full of mercury. That's an achievement. Yeah, I'm fairly certain we had it in the high school chemistry lab. I just don't remember. Well, Full Dottle, I'm sure they appreciate that. Last I heard from him, he was doing well, and Kathy as was also well. I'll drop him a line after this and see how he's doing, and I'll let you know if what I hear. Oh, Steve said he would be scarce for a while. Thank you, Chad. Chuck used to throw stones at the hobo camp and then get chased. That's good exercise, huh, Chuck? Oh, please don't use magnesium to light a pipe. That's not a pipe I want to repair. Ah, here we go. Couch with a question. So Couch is going to start a YouTube channel, and he wants to know what he should name the channel when he starts it. You're going to be sorry you asked this, Couch. Couch's smoking den. Pipe and a couch. Oh, Mr. Tolson. Therapy. Pipe on the couch. Oh, Tim, that's okay. It's not for everyone, the Haunted Bookshop. Oh, Dallas, don't tell him about thermite. The love seat. Smoldering cushion. All right, I'm just going to let these roll by. Casting couch. Yeah, if it was fishing videos, that would be perfect. Big Dave's asking how old I was when I first smoked. I had a single cigarette when I was probably around 15, I think, and didn't like that. And then it wasn't until, I don't know, I was probably 18 or 19 that I, started with cigars and eventually got into pipes. So I wasn't that young, Dave. Couch in his big pipe. The couch potato. Thanks for asking this, Couch. This is actually quite a bit of fun. Yeah, Dave, I was a late bloomer. But when you consider we got a lot of guys that are smoking their first pipe when they're in their late 20s, early 30s, I mean, I actually started fairly young as a pipe smoker. What was Match's story about the rubber couch, the purple rubber couch, was it? Maybe you can work that in, Couch. Seat Lovat. Oh boy, Christian, that's let's see, paper, corn husks, and a bit of glue, huh? And was that an enjoyable smoke? Ah, yes, it was called Eleanor's Couch. That's right. That is a great story. Yeah, squash bugs. I don't know, Ford. Chickens. Smoked driftwood. How did that work, Mr. Tolson? Yeah, I bet you did turn green, Christian. Paul got a skeeter bite. Corn silk. Huh. There's a lot of corn parts smoking out there, huh? Interesting, Mr. Tolson. I guess because it's got the pores are open in it, so I guess you can draw through. That's interesting. Wild grapevine. Yes, cliff smoke grapevines. I've heard of people doing that. Chooching couch, tree. We were talking last week, I think, about the candy cigarettes and all that stuff, and there was plenty of that kind of play smoking going on when I was young. But and my dad was a pretty heavy cigarette smoker, who rather remarkably, smoked like 2+ packs a day for 25 years of his life, and then one day just said, "I'm not going to smoke anymore," and that was the end of it. And he is still going strong. He's in his 70s. Just turned 74 the other day. Everett's grandmother smoked poplar leaves. Interesting. Had trouble saying poplar. I wanted to say popular leaves. Yeah, Christian, the kids just don't know how to live these days. Rabbit tobacco. Interesting. Oh, Everett, your dad's similar age to mine then, yeah. Grape leaves to pickles for Kingdom, Chris. Chris. Gotcha. Yeah, that Copenhagen is wet stuff. So, Jim, was it a type of pipe tobacco, or was it a roll your own, or what was it even tobacco? I'm curious about this rabbit tobacco, if anybody knows anything. Yeah, that's great, Paragon Piper. 95. That's amazing. There you go, Jim. That's a good that's a good father. Make sure your kid smokes, has whiskey, and some mercury to play with. If only you could get a DDT truck to come by once in a while. You'd be all set. Oh yeah, Dave. I'll tell you a magnifying glass story, and hopefully this will count as my story for the night because I know I already told one, but it was a short one. Oh, it was the DDT thing. So I this is going. You're not going to believe I can remember this, but I can very clearly remember this. So I went to kindergarten, and there were two kindergarten classrooms, and I don't know why you were put in one versus the other, but I'm guessing there was some testing involved, and I think that it was like a track one and track two class. But considering the kindergarten was mostly like playing with clay and stuff, I don't know why that was even a thing. But there must have been some deciding factor because the rooms were very different. So there was one room that was really nicely decorated, and it had really good quality toys and learning aids and things like that. And one of the things I remember was they had this big magnifying glass that it was like a wooden ring that was set in a stand, and you could turn it this way, but you could also rotate it this way. So you could basically move the magnifying glass to any angle. And now my memory is that it was about this big in diameter, like a dinner plate size. Of course, I was kindergarten age, so maybe it wasn't that big. I don't really know. So that's the room I got put into. And I didn't know anything about the other room because that was the only room I knew. But there was another room. So we're there a day or two, and I'm starting to loosen up, and because get into the routine, and you feel more comfortable, coming out of your shell and all that. And we have this like free playtime where you're allowed to do anything you want. And I always wanted to play with these green army men. I don't know if you guys remember green army men, but they were these little plastic soldiers. And they were like in 4 or 5 poses, and you could like have little pretend wars. If you were really lucky, you also had the sort of khaki-colored army men, who I think were supposed to be German soldiers, and you could have whole battles with them and stuff. So I figured out, and I already knew that you could burn things with a magnifying glass. By the way, they put this thing in the window, like right next to the window. There's a table, and there's a big full-length window right next to it. I already knew that you could burn things with a magnifying glass, and I took one of the little green army men there, and I set up the magnifying glass so that it was focused right on it, and we're all sitting there watching the army man kind of melt and shrivel, and the kids that were with me were fascinated by this. And the teacher came over, and I got yelled at, and the next day I was told to report to the other room. I never got to go back into that room. The other room was not so nice. It had wooden shelves and these long tables that we sat at, and there was a big bucket of what was called plasticine, which was like a green modeling clay. So we got to play with the plasticine, and I swear to you, there was boxes on this wooden shelf that had things like pulleys and bolts and nuts and stuff like that in them. There was a box of magnets there was, it might have been some building blocks and stuff. And I would take the magnets and the nuts and bolts, and I would like build robots with them, and just to pretend play march around with them. It was quite a different experience than I would have gotten in the other room, I'm sure. But that's what I wound up getting myself into. Yes, Voodoo 07, weapons of mass destruction. Nail gun blanks with a hammer. That probably was exciting there, Tree. No, probably would not have made Woody and Buzz Lightyear happy, and I only barely know what that means, but I did get the reference. Bullet holes with a soldering iron. That's fantastic, Paragon Piper. Oh, rabbit tobacco is a wild herb. Thank you, Blowing Smoke. I appreciate that. It's also known as life everlasting. Well, I will look into that. That's really interesting. Yeah, Mr. Tolson, that's a fun way to pass the time. Shooting spray paint cans in front of a fire. Yeah, 73 Maple Piper, it did change the course of my life forever. Yeah, it had nothing to do with riding behind the DDT truck. It was all about my kindergarten class. I've never done that, Jim, throwing Bic lighters in the fire. I can imagine that was interesting. Gasoline will melt matchbox cars, yes. Yeah, I have a story that I'm not going to tell now, and maybe should not tell because I don't know if the statute of limitations is up, but we found a full can of gasoline when I was a kid, and that led to some interesting experiences. But I'll save that for another time. Try dynamite. That's hilarious, Chip. During Fire Prevention Week, that's a good one, Jeremy. Evil Knievel. Colt's Foot. I have heard of that tree. You guys are making me feel a lot better about some of the things I did. Full roll of cap gun blanks. Can you still buy cap gun blanks? I have no idea if they still make those. Oh yeah, Chad. I don't think that would end well, especially if you were stretching him while he was on fire. Yeah, potato cannons. I've seen those, Jim. You can in the UK get the cap gun blanks? Paul? Donald Hughes. There you go. Background check for the cap guns. So I probably would not be able to get one today because of my magnifying glass incident. Yeah, Chuck, I had the same. I went to Catholic grade school as well, but at the time there was no Catholic kindergarten. Kindergarten was not a requirement when I was a kid, and so I was sent to the public school kindergarten just because I don't know. I think it was like a daycare thing for my mom. But it was a huge letdown for me when I went to first grade and found out what school was really like because there was no fun. I can tell some Catholic school stories down the road, but it was a different world, no question about it. Um, Hi Zachary, I've got some rustica and a Barry pipe tonight. But I will say this, you hear a lot of people talk about nuns and how terrible they were and all that, and I am very thankful for the education that I got and for the nuns that taught me. I don't think I'd be half the person I am today if it wasn't for those experiences. They were hard, they were, but they were life shaping. They made me the person I am today, and I think I'm better for it. And I never was abused. I never felt that the nuns were beating me or anything like that. I did occasionally get wrapped across the knuckles, but I deserved it. And the truth is, if I had done the same thing at home, I probably would have gotten more than wrapped across the knuckles. OBX Piper, the demerit king. Wow, Bonapiper, you budding engineers there. Oh, Paul, convent school. Yeah, so we probably had very similar experiences in terms of the early school years. The first through eighth grade is what we would call it here. I don't know the British system. It confuses me because you call it different things, but those were the years that I was primarily taught by nuns who all lived in a convent attached to the school. The older Irish widows, yeah, they'll get you. Yeah, the Blues Brothers with the nun, that was great. Now, Dallas, that's got to be an interesting story. I dated a preacher's daughter when I was in high school for a summer. she worked at a movie theater, and I got to get into the movies for free every night. Problem was, this was in a beach vacation town, and the way they did it back then was that you got one movie per theater. So I saw, I forget the name of the darn thing. How could I forget the name of it? It was one of the Roger Moore Bond films. I must have seen that thing 30 times. Maui Dantuno, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Did the nun actually do the washing, Christian, or did she make him wash himself? Yeah, Chuck, I understand that. I had some days like that with morning and evening detention. Oh, JMZ56. That's a really bad joke. Just got home from work, Maui. Well, I'm glad you could stop in and join us for a bit. Oh man, Christian, that is a horrible story. I believe you. I'm just shocked. Pipes, etc. Hello there. Oh, Pipes and Bees, you were one of those guys, huh? Never got caught. I spent a week on Long Beach Island in Jersey when I was in college, Jimmy. I remember about 30 hours of that week. It must have been The Spy Who Loved Me. It wasn't Moonraker. I'm sure it wasn't Moonraker. That chalk dust was something. Wildwood is packed today, Maui. Wow. Yeah, there's some truth in that, Christian. You know, you always knew where you stood. You might get hit in the head with an eraser, but you knew why you got hit in the head with an eraser. Yeah, John Candy. He was something. Black Cat Fireworks. I'm not familiar with those Pipes and Bees, but it's interesting. Fireworks were illegal in Pennsylvania for most of my life, and just within the past couple years, you can buy them in the grocery store now. All right, Maui, enjoy. Ain't it the truth, Dallas? The more we try to make things better, the worse they get. Wow, Everett, that's a great story. So that was when your dad was a kid, I assume. I hope your dad wasn't a teacher in doing that. Yeah, that was a big deal, Dave. Didn't say that when I was a kid, or there would be consequences. Gotcha, Everett. Oh, pipes and bees. That's very interesting. Yeah, I'm seeing guys talk about thumbtacks on the teacher's desk and whoopee cushions and all that. We didn't mess with the teachers because you know, throughout grade school, which when I went to school, it was first through eighth grade. We didn't have middle school and all that. It was just, or junior high or whatever it's called now. We had first through eighth grade was grade school, and then ninth through 12th grade was high school. And all through grade school, it was nuns, and you just did not mess with the nuns. They were strict disciplinarians, and I'm not saying that they beat children and abused them or anything, but you didn't want to get on the wrong side. And then when I went to high school, it was all priests and a few brothers, with one exception. There was one nun in the class in our school, in our high school, and they were, you didn't mess with them. So we never would have done a thumbtack on a teacher's chair. We would have done a thumbtack on another student's chair, though. They did crack the whip, indeed, Tony. They were fantastic teachers, Big Dave. And like I said earlier, I owe what I am today to those teachers. And I've always tried to, you get, when you graduate college, you get all this, donate to the college, and they call you every 3 days to ask you to give money to the college and all that. And I've done some of that, but honestly, I would rather give to high schools and grade schools, because those are the teachers that are doing the hard work and making the kids what they will ultimately be. Yeah, Paragon Piper saying if a teacher called his parents, it was over. So we used to have, so again, it was Catholic school, so we had a uniform. We wore gray pants, a white shirt, a blue blazer, and a blue tie with a, was there an emblem on the tie? No, there wasn't an emblem on the tie. There was an emblem on the blazer pocket. And if the teacher wanted our parents to know something, they didn't call them. They wrote a note and stapled it to the collar of our blazer. And believe it or not, you did not dare take that note off until you got home. And it was not a good experience when you got home and you had a note hanging from your collar. No, Christian, there was never a leather strap. The worst I saw was wooden rulers, wooden yardsticks. occasionally one of those wooden pointers that they had. They were these long wooden poles with like a black point on them that they would use. I'm sorry, it was a white point that they would use for pointing at the blackboards. And sometimes you'd get those across your knuckles. Chris Cohen, good to see you, buddy. Your dad was an evil genius, Everett. Ah, Ford, sorry to hear that. You have a good night, buddy. Blue slacks, blue shirt, and tie, and dark socks and dress shoes. Yeah. Yeah, that's the way it was, Dave. And it was nice because there was no distraction from the dress. Nobody cared what the person next to you was wearing because everybody was wearing the same thing. Ah, large wooden paddle. No, that would be effective, Christian. Yeah, Portsmouth Piper, you're probably right about that. How dare you staple my son's collar? Yeah, Chris, I would not say I'm scared of nuns. I am respectful of nuns. Like I still, if I happen to pass, and this doesn't happen very often because we don't have very many nuns anymore, but if I happen to pass a nun on the street, I will say, "Good morning, sister. Good afternoon." So, the same way I would when I was 8 years old, because that is so ingrained in me that I can't not do that. It's just a sign of respect that. So it's not that I'm scared, but I definitely have a great deal of respect for them. Oh, that's terrible, Voodoo. You had to pick your own punishment weapon there. Yeah, JMZ 56. That was the rub. You'd go home and you'd tell your parents about this great travesty of justice that happened in school, and they just assumed that you were wrong, and you got punished at home for it. So you very quickly learned not to try to play that card. And the worst possible thing that could happen is your parents would believe you, and then they'd either send a note or call the school, because then you really were in trouble in the school. Yeah, Big Dave, same here, and that's led to this ingrained respect for those people. And you have to think about it. Like I had a nun who was, and this is hard to believe, but she celebrated her silver jubilee, which I believe is 75 years, when she was teaching me. So she had been a nun for 75 years. And that whole time, she was dealing with little twerps like me that were doing everything they could to make her life miserable. That's a great sacrifice that person made for the education of many, many children. I think they deserve respect for that. All right, Dallas, you have a good night. Thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, Cornholio, that's a good thing. I mean, I think one of the things that's really lacking in our world today is just a common respect for one another. Yeah, it is absolute dedication. I mean, they devoted their lives. I believe that, Big Dave. I can't imagine otherwise because she was a saint. The mere fact that she didn't kill me proves that she was a saint. Yeah, Monty, they do. I mean, I've had the pleasure of getting to know a few priests and, getting to know them well to the point where I can call them friends, and they do have a fantastic sense of humor. And for the most part, they're happy, well-adjusted people. It's a shame that, as in any profession, there's some bad folk that can color what everyone in that profession has done. But I've been Roman Catholic my entire life and went through 12 years of Catholic school. I was around priests from a very young age. I used to be an altar boy at a 6:30 in the morning mass every morning. And never once did I feel in any way that I was threatened or in any way mistreated. Oh yeah, that I forgot about that. There was one chair in our hall, and if you were unfortunate enough to not be the first one waiting, you had to sit on the floor. You can't watch Dead Man Walking. So we'll hang around till 9:30, guys. I'm actually surprised that it's almost 9:20. I didn't. Time flies when you're having fun, as they say. But I did want to make sure that you all know that there's going to be a live stream tomorrow afternoon at 4 o'clock, giving away a tin of Molto Dolce. And, just a thank you to everyone that subscribes to the channel. We'll play some trivia, and last time I did this, there was a request for more trivia questions, so maybe I'll see if I can come up with a few more, maybe 5 or 6 questions instead of just the one. We'll still do just the one for the prize, but then we can have a couple more rounds after that. All right, Leaf and Brill, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Have a good evening. You want him to be easy, Paul? Were you in the last one, Paul, where it was a Sherlock Holmes question? Yeah, Jimmy, that is heartbreaking sometimes. Sister Rosalie, yeah, we had Sister James, and the kids used to say you don't play games with Sister James, and you did not. When you had to see the principal, who was Sister James, you were not a happy person. So did you like the Sherlock Holmes trivia, or should I do something more generally pipe smoking? I don't have a trivia question right now. So don't suggest questions, because I won't use them, because then people here will know the answer. But if anybody has any suggestions about areas from which the question should be drawn. However, that would make anyone mad. Jeez. Yeah, Molto Dolce There aren't a lot of aromatics that I enjoy. I don't smoke Molto Dolce just because it comes in a tin and it's more expensive, and so I don't get very much of it. But it's not bad. It's one that I can enjoy. That's a good idea there, Steve. Question about the Cali Delta. Let's see, what flake tobacco has been disappearing at a surprising rate into the Cali Delta? St. John's the Evangelist Covenant Convent. Takio, I'm glad you made it, even if it is technical. Yeah, we got a winner, Cliff. That was an easy question. Sorry, Steve, you're late. You came in second place on that one. For you guys that don't know, Cali Piper smokes a lot of Rustica. Holy Angels in Aurora, Illinois. Anything but angels, yeah. So I went to, yeah, same here, Everett. Not allowed to order it. I went to, it was St. Monica's grade school when I was first through fifth grade. And then we moved, and I went to Our Lady of Mount Carmel. And then for high school, I went to St. John Newman. It's funny, I was very young when I went to St. Monica, and very few people are going to appreciate this story, so I'll tell it now as we're winding up. St. Monica was the mother of St. Augustine. And St. Augustine was a notorious sinner. And St. Monica prayed constantly for his conversion. And he ultimately was converted, and he was baptized by St. Ambrose. So at the back of the church, there was this, it wasn't a fresco, it was like what do they call that? Bas relief, where the sculpture's coming out of the wall. And it was Monica in prayer and Ambrose pouring water onto a kneeling Augustine's head, baptizing him. Now, because this was just carved out of white marble, you really, if you didn't know the story and you were a little kid like I was, it looked like somebody was kneeling down, and everybody's dressed in long gowns because that's, I don't know why, but that seems to be what people wore. It looked like Ambrose was actually holding Augustine's hair. And I didn't know that it was Ambrose. I assumed it was Monica because it was St. Monica's church. So the story that I made up about that statue was that St. Monica was pulling St. Augustine up by his hair. And it wasn't until much, much later in life that I understood the meaning of that piece of art. Oh, there's a good question, Jim. And there's only one person that could answer that. Takia, you went to a Jesuit high school. Very interesting. I almost went to a Jesuit high school. was accepted, but the tuition was too high for my family, so I didn't go there. Oh, Cliff, great to see you tonight. You have a good evening, buddy. Thousands. And we got an honest answer from Steve for the trivia question tomorrow. Good, Jillian. I also went to Jesuit college. The Jesuits, I don't want to get into this too much. We can take it offline if you want, Takio. But the Jesuits are they got some funny theology, but they're really good teachers. So I'm sure you got an excellent education. Yeah, Jeremy, I promise you there were no Branch Davidians there. Yeah, Jesuits are definitely deep theological thinkers. And they got a strong tradition of that. That also has led them to come up with some interesting ideas that don't necessarily fit with the mainstream. But who's to say that's right or wrong? Good night, West Virginia Grizzly. Good to see you tonight, buddy. Joffrey, you have a good night too. Ah, so that's interesting, Chuck. Central, I think I might have actually taught a class at Central Catholic in Pittsburgh when I was in graduate school. Marymount, yes, Loyola Marymount. You've heard of that. All right, Piper on the 45. Have a good evening. Yeah, Takio, I think they're very solid with that. All right, Ed, you have a good night too, and we'll see you next week. Jim, I hear that school is very highly rated. All right, Meerschaum Mountaineer. Hopefully it was the mowing that made you sleepy. You have a good night. You have a good weekend too, Everett. Take care. Thank you, Paul. I've had a great time, guys. And I am going to wind down now. It was great to see you all. Great to spend time. I truly look forward to this every Friday. And it's just so good to see so many of you folks stopping in every week. So you all have a great weekend. If you can, please join me tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we'll have some fun. And if you can't, I'll be around. Maybe do a video on Wednesday, and I'll definitely be back next Friday. with Armchair Piper for a chat. So y'all take care. Steve's off to bathe in Rustica. Y'all take care. Have a great weekend, everyone. And I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye now.